and I want to welcome you to the ProKitchen web demo. Today we're going to go through the new version, ProKitchen version 3.0, and show you a lot of the new features on the version 3.0, as well as teaching you how to use the complete program, or the majority of it. What we'll do today is design a basic kitchen, a fairly simple design, but it'll show you a lot of the capabilities of what the program has. So first thing I'm going to do here is, going to start a design. This is the first screen you're going to get when you pull up the ProKitchen software. You're going to have the ability to create a new design or open an existing design. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK here. And what this does, it gives me the ability to go into my design settings page. What the design settings page is set up to do is to really detail your design. But in ProKitchen, the only thing you have to do in ProKitchen is create a design file. To do that, I simply click on the folder here. This is an open folder. And what this does, in this case, it takes me into my documents. Now what I've done, this is where it's going to default automatically, but what I've done is I've actually set a folder up in my documents called My Kitchens. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on My Kitchens folder here and open it up. And if you notice, I have designs in here. This is where I can now put designs into this folder. I can also create a new folder by clicking on this Create New Folder, so where if I wanted to have a folder named the Jones Job, I could have all the Jones information put into that folder. So hopefully that makes sense. It's just basic file sharing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually create a file name here. I'm just going to call it February 14th, and I'm going to call it a demo. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on Open. And what it did, it actually created the file name and put all the information here. It's under My Documents, My Kitchens, February 14th demo. This is the design file that we've created. That's the only thing you have to do in ProKitchen to design. At this point, I could click on OK and actually start my design if I wanted to. But let's say I wanted to add more information here. I can go back into my Design Settings Info page at any time and add as much or as little information as I need to. The first thing I can do is obviously I can enter in my contract number. I can enter in my order number. Now here I can enter in a design status. This is one thing that has changed in 3.0. We've actually added a lot more information into the design status. We take it from anywhere from the preliminary design all the way through the complete job. So what this does, it helps you track your jobs as you're designing your jobs, or as you're moving through your jobs. You can actually use this as a complete system to tell you where your job sits. In this case, I'm going to click on preliminary design. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and tell it who's processing the job, so I'll go ahead and put my name in here. The two dates are going to automatically create and be modified as you're working with this job. And then we also have a note here. I can put thank you on this note. And what it's going to do, this is going to be the note that shows up on the first page of the customer report. So you can see it's very easy to do. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and create a customer for this particular design. I'm going to click on my customer tab here. If you notice, if I click into these fields, it doesn't allow me into these because we work on a database. So what I can do here is simply click on the Browse button. If you notice, I don't have a customer set up into here. I can click on the New. I can create this new customer, so I can call it ABC Construction. That's the customer here. I can come in here and put in John, let's call it John Doe. I can come in here and put in an email address, so John Doe at ABC. Put in some type of phone number. You can put in as much or as little information as you need to here. I can put in a mailing address here by clicking on this button here and put in the mailing address. So it's very easy to do. Go ahead and make this right here. I can come in here and put in the city, anywhere. We'll do anywhere Alabama. It's a very nice place if you want to visit there. We can go into the United States, obviously. Now I can click on OK, and what this does, it pulls that information over here. Now I can go ahead and put in a different shipping address, or a different mailing address, or invoice address if I needed to, or I can use the same as. This information is going to go ahead and transfer over to the reports when you're putting the reports in. So you'll only have to fill it in one time. As soon as I click OK, what it does, it adds that customer into my database. I can now simply double click on that customer and pull it over into the design. So as you can see, it's very simple. The next thing I have is my dealer information. This information is your information here. So in this case, I'll put in RealView ProKitchen because that's my information. Whoops. Get that done correctly. Now what I'll do here is, obviously I can put my first name in here and my last name in here. Now the nice thing about this here, all this information I'm putting in here, as soon as I click on OK, it's going to hold this information. And this is going to be your shipping information. You only have to fill it in one time. The next time I go into this, I just loaded this program, so the next time I go into this, I don't have to fill all this out. So whatever information I put into here is going to transfer over. Okay, so it's very easy to do there. Obviously the mailing address, I can come in and put the mailing address on here, and I'll put that in here because it's very important for the reports. This is our address if anybody's wondering. We're located in Massachusetts. So you can see it's very easy to place this in here. Now I click OK here, it holds that information, and I can do my shipping address in the same. Next thing we have designers. Now a lot of people, we understand, have multiple designers using the same program. This works just like the customer tab, where I can come in here and click on Browse, create a new designer if I wanted to, and add that designer into the design, so I know who's designing this particular job. Or in this case, I can go ahead and use same as dealer, and it pulls that information over here. So again, very easy to use that. The next thing we have is our reviewer, and click on the reviewer. What that's going to do is, if I had a database set up here, it's going to pull from that same database, and then it's going to go ahead and add that in as a reviewer. So again, you know who has responsibility. In this case, again, I can use same as dealer and put that information over here. So you can see it's very easy to use that. Next thing we have here is we have our construction tab. This is the construction tab for this particular design. What we're doing is we're setting up the design settings for this job, not the default ones. We also have a default settings where you can set up your defaults. So every time that you open a design, it goes to whatever those defaults are. In this case here, I'm going to go ahead and make this into a 4.5 inch wall. I'm going to change my zone width to 24 inches, and I'll explain what the zone width is as soon as we get a wall. I'm going to come in here and make my wall height. Let's say when all my walls 108. I'm going to also, in the design, I'm going to make a wall 40.5 inches high, so you can see how you do a half wall or a pony wall. Next thing we do here is we have a wall items alignment. At this point, it's telling me that I have my top alignment at 84 inches high. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I want to change this to a bottom alignment at 54 inches high. So what this does now is, if I'm doing like a high-low design and I'm using the 42-inch cabinet next to a 36-inch cabinet, it allows me to put my offset at the top rather than at the bottom. The one thing I have to caution you about this here is, if you do a cabinet above a refrigerator or a range, obviously it's going to put that cabinet at 54 inches off the floor. You'll need to move that cabinet up or those two cabinets up. But it makes it so it's much easier to do it from bottom alignment or top alignment, depending on what you want. You have the choice. Next thing I have here is I have my moldings. This is where I can preset my moldings into the design, and with the click of this button here on the side, it allows me to set these moldings into the design. I'm going to click on Lightroom molding here. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to actually use the Showplace cabinetry, because I know there's a lot of Showplace dealers on here. I'm going to come in here and use their grape molding. I'm going to go ahead and use my top molding here. Again, go into my cabinetry here. Obviously, you're not going to have all these cabinet lines on yours unless you carry all these lines. But again, I'm going to come in here and do the grape molding. I'm also going to show you how we stack moldings. What this molding here is on the top molding is the first piece of molding in the stack. So we're going to go ahead and stack moldings on top of that. So what I did now is, by setting this up here, by clicking this button once I have wall cabinets in, it sets these moldings into the design. The next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on my countertop button. What this allows me to do is it allows me to change my overhangs on my countertop. So I can change this to, in this case, like 1.5 inches, and I can change my thickness if I wanted to. Now the next section we have is completely different than what we had in 2.5, the last version. This is where we've made it much simpler to choose colors. In this case here, I want to change my countertop color for this design. I can click on Select, and now I have the ability right now to add in any color on any surface. So I can put a flooring color on a